What's going on, everybody? JT here, coming at you with another episode of Pokemon Go, and today we're going to go over every single shiny that I caught in the year 2022. So to see every shiny that we caught in 2022, we just got to go to the search bar and type in the word year 2022, and there we go. We have every single one of the shinies, and in total it says we caught 1,314 of them, though that's not 100% true because I know I've deleted quite a few of them. In fact, I want to say I've deleted multiple hundreds just due to community days and such. But let's see the wins that I chose to keep. For starters, our first shiny of the year was a shiny Poliwag. And then we were able to get ourselves a Pikachu. I think I actually hatched the Slowpoke, which is pretty awesome. Let me check. Yeah, no, we got it from a 7-kilometer egg, and this was a full odds. And that's also interesting because the first shiny Slowpoke with glasses I ever hatched came off of the last possible egg that I could have hatched from that event. So we've hatched 2 full odds with the glasses, which is really cool. And I'm glad I got them because unfortunately now you can't even get the glasses Slowpoke until they choose to bring it back another year, but it doesn't look like it's happening for 2023. We hatched ourselves a Pichu. I managed to get 2 of the Hoot Hoots with the hat and the little bow, which is great because now you can evolve it when the 2023 event comes up. And I don't know which one I'm going to evolve out of the 2, but I'm definitely going to do it. We got a Stantler. It looks like we got a Gengar with the hat. We got a lot of shiny Charmanders with the hat because we got very lucky. There was a nest that had Charmanders with the hat, and their shiny rate was ridiculous. I want to say it was about like 1 in 20 or something like that because I did a couple laps in the park and got a ton of them. There would be a lot more in the collection, but I traded a lot of them to friends that weren't lucky enough to get their hands on them. But I am happy to say that we do have the Charmander, the Charmeleon, and of course we've got the Charizard. I'm so glad that that set's done. And then we keep going down here. We start off with the Mountains of Power event, I believe this one was, because we have Macargo here. We got a couple Slugmas. For some reason, Slugma really loved me. And also, this Aerodactyl is really cool. This is a Goku Bad Aerodactyl from a raid. At the time, it was one of my best raid shinies that I've been able to get for the year, so I was really happy to get it. And this is currently the Mega Aerodactyl that I use. And then we keep going through Spheal Community Day. We got a couple other things. Then we had brand new shiny Shadows, which we got very lucky with these ones. I want to say it was 95 liters in total for us to get every single one of them here, and we've completed the set for Poliwag. We got the Teddy Ursaline, and I kind of knew about Ursaluna a little bit ahead of time, so I made sure to get 3 of those. So yeah, I'm really glad that we've got every single shiny Shadow when it came down to this rotation. And then if we keep going, we move on to when I was in Hawaii with my buddy Justin, and I want to say it was because of the Year of the Tiger event where we had shiny Litleo released, and we got very lucky with that one as well. We managed to get 4 of those shinies. The best part is we did manage to get ourselves a shiny male version of it, which is very rare. The females are very common and the males are very uncommon. It's basically the opposite of Combee, which has a ton of males everywhere and then a couple females that can actually evolve. Luckily, Litleo can evolve regardless of its gender, it just has a different form. And also during that time, we managed to get all of the Esper line. We got this one right here, which is a female, and I believe this is the female form, and we also got a male as well. So we were having a pretty good time, and also I got my first ever Paris, which was a huge deal for me because shiny Paris was very difficult for me to get. I popped a ton of Mossy Lures, did a ton of streams for it, never got it, but luckily we instanced one, and I want to say it was like the last day of the event, so we got very lucky. And as we keep going, we've got Hoppip Community Day, which was a lot of fun, and then we had Deoxys come back, but this time every single one of its forms could be shiny, and we did get lucky and get every single one of the forms, including this one right here, which is really cool because this one was actually my first raid for it. We got a one and done situation, and then literally the next one was shiny. It was awesome. And then a friend traded me a second Paris so I could get the Parasect, so I could just be done with that line completely. And then we move on to Johto Tour here, and this Ho-Oh is really good. I think it's my best one. It's a 96 from Australia, which is awesome. And I did transfer a lot of the shinies from this event, but there were a few notable things here, like the Corsola. This took so many raids to do. I want to say it was like 200 and something, but we did get it. Even though I live in Florida where they spawn, I just kind of wanted to get it during the event, and plus it's in a Premier Ball, so that's pretty cool. And I did get lucky and get 1 shiny Phanpy so I could turn it into a Dawn Fan. At the time, I did evolve it. Usually I don't do that, but I really like this shiny a lot. And another notable thing that we got during the Johto Tour was this Poliwhirl, which is now a Politoed, but at the time, Goku and I got this at the same time, and of course, it's a Goku Bad, which is really funny, so of course we had to turn it into Politoed because that's just way better looking. The legendary beasts were spawning in the wild, and I did manage to get a shiny Raikou. And then after the Johto Tour, we had the season of Alola when Gen 7 first dropped, and as you can see, we got very lucky with them. We got the Yungoos line done, and we got quite a few shiny Rockruffs. I was going pretty hard on those raids. And we had Sandshrew Community Day, which a lot of those got deleted. My first Therian Tornadus raid turned out to be shiny, and it was the only raid I did because unfortunately that Pokemon's just not useful at all. And I think during that time is when Shiny Cottony was first introduced, and we got very lucky with this one. They had a thing like over the weekend, they would be spawning a lot in parks and such like that, but every single one of these were caught outside of a park, and it's a beautiful shiny. I'm really glad that I was able to get this one, especially this one right here, because I use it in Little Cup often, because this is actually pretty decent for it. And then we found this one relatively soon afterwards, and we ended up evolving this one because it wasn't as good. And though I do like like this shiny, I think this one's just way better. I like the orange a lot. And then we'll keep going down. This Wigglytuff is a really good one because I think this is like a rank 2 for PvP or something like that. This is a really, really good one. And then shortly after, we had that Ditto Day, which was fun. I liked that basically a whole bunch of Dittos were everywhere, and their shiny odds are decently boosted. So we got a level 1 here, and then we got 2 others. And a little bit afterwards, shiny Volibee was introduced into the game. Got lucky and was able to hatch this one, and I know I hatched the second one a little bit later on. We also got the shiny Therian Thundurus. We got ourselves the Mudkip Community Day Classic. And then I want to say that this is the Easter event, because we do have the shiny Shadow Alolan Exeggutor. Okay, yes, this was definitely during that time. There were brand new shiny Shadows that were in the rotation, and Execute was one of them, and I believe Arlo had it. But we got lucky with this one specifically because Grunts also had Execute in their roster, and they could be shiny at the time, so they were basically free shiny Shadows. And I got extraordinarily lucky to get this one, and I chose to do this one as the Alolan Exeggutor during the time where you could evolve your Executes into Alolan Exeggutors. I don't know if we're ever gonna get that again, probably not for a while, so this is probably one of the rare shinies that I have. Managed to hatch a few things, find a lot of things. Of course, we got some shiny Flower Crowns, and as you can see, we got even more shiny Shadow Executes because during the whole Execute research day, the Rockets were just giving them like crazy. I want to say the odds on them at that time were like 1 in 10. It was ridiculously easy to get a shiny Shadow during that time. I also managed to find this, a level 1 shiny Flower Crown Eevee. I think I'm going to keep this one as an Eevee in the future, but I am just so glad I got this one. Managed to get a few more shiny babies with Flower Crowns and such. We also got this shiny Shadow Alolan Marowak because a little bit after the whole Execute time, they made it so that Cubone would turn into Alolan Marowaks. And this one I think is decent-ish for PvP. Yeah, I think this is like the best one I had for PvP, but it's a really cool one. I love this shiny Shadow. I think it's one of the best ones. And then we keep going, and as you can see, we had the Stuffle Community Day. I transferred a ton of these shinies for sure. There was the Kangaskhan Raid Day. Had quite a few of those, but ended up transferring a few of those as well. And I did manage to hatch a shiny Tyrogue. I lucky traded because I wanted to see if I could get a different one because I didn't need shiny Hitmonchan. But as you can see, this one also turns into a shiny Hitmonchan. For some reason, Tyrogue and Hitmonchan really love me, but the other two, Hitmontop and Hitmonlee, don't like me at all. And then we keep scrolling down for a little bit, and then we get to the shinies for the Sevilla Safari Zone. Shiny Corphish was introduced during this time, and this was a great Safari Zone. I was really happy to be back and traveling again, and this was just a great one. Great shinies everywhere. There was even wild shiny Peruglies, which was very rare. Not only was this Safari Zone just a lot of fun in general, but they also introduced more shiny unknowns, which we thought there was only going to be shiny unknown E, but they put out every single letter shiny. I wasn't lucky enough to get one myself, but luckily a friend of mine managed to get this V, and they didn't care about it, so they gave it to me, and I'm very happy because I don't know when we're going to be getting these in the future. And then we got the Drip Lapras here. This was part of some sort of water event, I believe, because we have quite a few of them and a lot of shiny water-type Pokemon here. And then there's the Alolan Geodude Community Day, which a lot of people weren't overly a fan of, and I also need to delete some of these. I don't need nearly this many. Then we keep going. We had a little bit of a wrap-up to Alola event, and now we're at the Worldwide Go Fest. Shiny Axew was a big goal. I got very lucky and managed to get 3 of them pretty quickly, and then we have all these spawns. We got Carablast, we got the Unknown Bee, which at the time was very rare, and then we keep going. We had Wild Galarian Weezings, we got the shiny Numel line. Sadly, the Shroomish line got away, but we got plenty of shinies I needed, like this Draft Rig as well. This was one of the last shinies I needed for the Gen 2 shiny decks, so I was very glad to get it. Finished up the Binnacle line, made sure to evolve that one. Got a lot of pretty fun shinies, a lot of repeats though, but it was a good Worldwide Go Fest, and I did do a lucky trade with one of them and turned it into this Haxorus. And then we had the first Ultra unlock for the season, and we had Unknown F in raids, which was a full odds, and it took me like 300 of them to get this one finally. And I'll never trade it, and I'll also never do an unknown raid again unless it's confirmed to be boosted, because a full odds for an unknown is just ridiculously hard to grind for. But I am glad I got this one, because this is one of the most iconic shiny unknowns. And then shortly afterwards, we had the Cranidos and Shieldon Research Day, and I got my first ever Research Shundo, and I was just so blown away that we finally got a Research Shundo. I of course had to Best Buddy it, I had to max it out. Sure, it's not really useful for anything, though apparently it has some uses in Ultra League, but in the end of the day, I'm just glad I got it. We're just gonna keep scrolling down, and I believe now we're entering the Pokemon Go TCG event, because we have a lot of shiny starter evolutions in here, and they were actually part of researches. I really hope they do that in the future, because having Blastoise, Charizard, and Venusaur coming off of researches is really cool. And of course, shiny Mewtwo came back, shiny Meltan was also reintroduced into the game for a brief period of time. We had even more Dittos. Also, Numel was showing up too, which is fun. For some reason, this shiny absolutely loves me, which I'm not complaining about, because there is a Mega. And there was the shiny Pikachu Pikachu with the TCG hat, which I'm glad I got. I don't know if we're ever gonna get this thing back. They might do like another series of Pokemon Go cards, so there's a chance this might come back, but in the end of the day, if it doesn't, at least we have this exclusive one. And during that time, we also had the Dino Calm Day, which is probably the most hyped Calm Day throughout the year. Usually they reserve it for the summertime, because last time it was Gible. Didn't get a Shundo, sadly, though. I was hoping to get a Shundo Dino. Then a little bit after that, we are now in the Berlin Go Fest, because this was my first shiny of the Berlin Go Fest. But this one we went off pretty well. We got the brand new Fungus shiny, which is a pretty nice looking shiny, plus we got a lot of shiny unknowns during this time. I do have a goal where I want to get every single shiny unknown letter, and this event was just really good for it. I got quite a few of them that I needed. And as you can see, I mean, we went off during this event. We got a whole bunch of really cool things, including the cowboy hat Chungus. Very glad that they introduced this just because it's a really fun costume shiny. There's the unknown T, we got another E, got quite a few things. There was also the introduction of shiny Pansear during this event, which then they had Panpour and then Pansage for the last Go Fest. But yeah, it was a pretty good time. Plus there was Cresselia and Darkrai raids during that time as well that were actually really shiny boosted. And also another really fun mention here is we did get a level 1 shiny Sandy Burmy, and this was just in the city of Berlin. This wasn't part of any event or anything. This was just a full odds. And then shortly after Berlin, it looks like we're in the new Rocket event because they introduced shiny Shadow Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur, which in my opinion was one of the roughest shiny Shadow collections to go for, because if you wanted to get one of every one of them, you had to get 9 of them in total, which is just really tough, because it used to be like you had to get like 5 to maybe 7 at the most. Those shiny Shadows made me work for them. This Charmander was the first one I got, and I was able to get rid of Frustration, and during the time it would get Dragon Breath and Blast Burn, so this is one of the rare ones that I have. And just like the Alola and Marowak, I would argue this is one of the best shiny Shadows, because with the black, with the red eyes and everything, it's just so good. As we keep going down, you can see I got the shiny Shadow Squirtle, did a couple lucky trades. This is a level 1 lucky shiny Snorlax. It's not the best though, I think, but it's a 15, 14, 12. That's actually better than I thought it would be. We had Starly Community Day, which was a chill one. It was good hanging out with the community for that one. And then I believe that this right here is when we were doing Seattle Go Fest. Yeah, because we got shiny unknowns here, and I want to say this is when the Combee was introduced. Yeah, so this is Seattle right here. As you can see, we did get a male shiny Combee, and then later on we did get lucky and get a female. There's also the shiny Panpour line that was introduced during this time, like I mentioned before. Got a couple more shiny Funguses. Of course, we got another shiny Numel. Quite a few shiny unknowns. We got really lucky with those ones. And there's the shiny Vespiquen, which is probably one of the rare shinies that I have in my collection, because I've got quite a few shiny Combees, but this is the only one that's female. And we got very lucky with this one because there was an extension for my Go Fest because they kind of screwed up in the beginning apparently. So we had an extra 2 hours to go out and grind in the city, and I got this one off of one of the last researches I could do, because I think I had maybe like 15 minutes left. So when I saw that I got a female, I was just absurdly happy. Then we keep going down. I got even more shiny Shadows. As you can see here, we had the Hisuian Bravery Raid Day, which was really cool. I mean, this is a beautiful shiny. I love when they do shinies like this. And then a little bit after the Bravery Raid Day, we had the shiny Pansage release, which was for the Sapporo Go Fest. But sadly, the country wasn't open at the time because of the pandemic, so I couldn't go to that Go Fest. But for some reason, shiny Pansage really liked me, because not only did we get this one, but after the Zigzagoon Community Day, I got another one from a raid, which is really neat, because this is a full-on shiny Pokemon. So of course, I had to evolve this one later on. There's our third shiny Pansage right there. We got even more shiny Shadows. The Beef Eater Pikachu was introduced during Pokemon Worlds in London, which again, sadly, I wasn't able to go to that one due to financial reasons, but it looked like a fun time. Even more shiny Shadows here, and I think this Ivysaur was the last one I needed to complete the entire set, so I do have all 9 of them. And then we keep going, and this was the Worldwide Go Fest right here, because I did get this one from Fleece King. This was actually from a raid in Australia before I even had the Worldwide Go Fest, so Fleece, thank you again. And we got some good shinies. We got the shiny Wild Hitmontop. We got quite a few really good things during this time, including a wild shiny Hitmonlee, which at the time I didn't need anymore, but it was cool to see it. And I also got really lucky and found the shiny Swirlix, which was introduced during Sapporo, but again, we couldn't go to Sapporo at that time, so I was really happy to run into this one. I did get pretty lucky in completing the shiny Shelmet family here, and also the shiny Carablast family, and I really like this shiny a lot. And I want to say that this was the season of Go, where they introduced a lot of this stuff, because we had the shiny LGM that was introduced, pretty good shiny family, at least this one. I like this one a lot. I will say that Behemoth's not so good. They also had a Deoxys Raid Day, which was alright. It was pretty fun. Roggenrola Community Day, which we did manage to get a Shundo of, which I love this shiny. I think this shiny is absolutely fantastic, and the fact that we have a Shundo of it is just a little extra special for me. Then shortly after that Community Day, we were in Korea for the Goyang Safari Zone, and that one was a lot of fun. Got a ton of shiny unknowns. We got the N, we got the A, we got a ton of them that I didn't already have. Shiny Spritzy was introduced into the game and is a fantastic shiny. I also managed to get 2 of these unknown wise, but I did trade one to a friend, but I would consider this to be one of the rare shiny unknowns currently in the game. And when I was in Korea, I got my first ever shiny sock, because during the time when it was introduced for the Worldwide Go Fest, I didn't get lucky with sock or throw, so when I finally got this one, I was just so excited. And then shortly after returning, we had the Sunglasses Absol and the Bacon Bird were introduced to the game, and we went off when it came down to costume shinies, mostly because they were boosted, but I did end up getting this Shundo Butterfree, or as people like to call it, the Boaterfree, because it has a bow. And if Gigantamax ever comes to this game, this will probably be my Gigantamax Butterfree, as long as costumes can do it, but seeing that costumes can Mega Evolve, I would imagine that this will be able to. Yeah, we went off when it came down to costumes, like a lot, including the Dapper Diglett. I did manage to get one of those, and those were really rare during the time, so we really got lucky with this one. And we're still going through these costume shinies. My lord, I didn't know I had that many of them. Mega Gyarados Raid Day, it was a pretty fun time. Shiny Xerneas was introduced at the time. I think this was the Festival of Lights event where we had all these Ponytas and Chinchows, because the Chinchows were supposed to be boosted, even though I only found one of those shinies. Litwick Community Day, which has a fantastic shiny family. Sadly, didn't get lucky with a Shundo, but I know a lot of my friends did, so congrats to them. I do have a shiny Furfrou here. In fact, I have a few shiny Furfrous, but I have yet to actually catch one of these on my own. I had a big trip coming up, and I wanted to get a few of them because I was going to go to Asia, and I really wanted to transform the shiny Furfrou into their forms, but I didn't get them on my own. But luckily, I had some good friends that hooked me up with them, so thanks, guys. This red Skorupi right here is my first shiny of Taiwan when we headed down there for the Taiwanese Safari Zone. And Taipei was really good to us. We got shiny Snorlaxes, including this level 1, which was really neat. Shiny Galarian Yamask was introduced into the game. We also had some brand new shiny Pikachus that were wearing shirts, and also they had green balloons as well. Shiny Noibat was also introduced to the eggs, and I did get lucky to hatch one, and I have evolved it now into a Noivern, because this is my best one. I want to say it's a 15, 11, 15. Yeah, it is. I love this thing. You also notice that we have quite a few shiny Corsolas. For some reason, Corsola really loved me during these events. Like, I got a ton of shiny Corsolas, and also some shiny unknowns that I didn't already have. And of course, we got shiny Finneon, which was introduced during that Safari Zone, and managed to evolve it into its Luminion form. And as we keep moving down, I think this Yamask was the first shiny that I caught in Japan. And yeah, it was remotely caught in Japan. Awesome. But a little bit after this one, I also managed to get my first ever shiny Venipede, which was in a Venipede nest, and I didn't have this shiny beforehand. At the time, I was visiting friends in Maryland when this shiny went live, so I didn't have a lot of time to really hunt around, so when I finally got this thing, I was so happy. And as we keep moving down, shiny Pumpkaboo and shiny Gourgeist were introduced in the game. I got the extra small versions of them and one of the normal size, but sadly, I didn't manage to get one of each of them. That would have been really hard to pull off. I also managed to get the shiny Witch Hat Gengar. Very happy I got this one because the Banette costumed one I never got lucky with, and I don't know if that's ever gonna come back. Got lucky again with more Pumpkaboos. I think I have 3 extra small ones right here, and then I have one of them right here that's just the normal size. I also managed to get 2 more of these Piplups with the Halloween hat, and I did get one when I was in the UK last year. So if they actually let this thing evolve in the future events, which they might actually do because they've been doing this often, I would be able to complete that set pretty much no issues at all. And one of the biggest wins from the part 2 of the event was I did get a Vulpix with the costume, but I had to evolve it because, I mean, come on, look at that. That just looks so good. Though I do hope in the future we get shiny Shadow Vulpix and Ninetales because that's gonna look really good. And as we keep going down, I did manage to get 2 of the Duskulls wearing the flowers. I've evolved this one and I evolved this one, and then later on you'll see I did a lucky trade with Fleece and got my other one. But I'm glad that that's done because we only had 2 days for it, and those Duskulls were rare outside of the Spotlight Hour. And we'll keep going. I got another sock, which was great. We had Community Day Classic for Dratini, which I got to do inside of a temple, which was fun. There was also a PvP event that had boosted shiny Miltank odds, so we got lucky with those. And also I got my first ever shiny Truby, which I spent a lot of money on Mossy Lures trying to get this thing, because when it was first introduced, it was actually in the wild as well, but I just never got lucky with the things. Also, this was from the first research that I did during that event that gave a Cherubi, so I thought they were boosted at the time. And we did pretty okay during that event. I also did get a shiny Munchlax hatch, but I did lucky trade it with Billy later on, which should be in here probably a little bit later. There was the Teddy Ursa Community Day, and then there was the brand new shiny Shadows that got introduced. We had Machop, Sableye, and Mawile. And for some reason, the Machop really liked me. This was the first shiny Shadow I got, and as this green, angry-looking Hulk creature, I think this is a great shiny Shadow. And that was also our last shiny of Japan, because this Lapras right here is from Singapore. I got it, like, literally after I got off the plane. And of course, we were in Singapore for the Safari Zone, which we're about to dive into in a second. Shiny Purloin was the release shiny, and of course, we evolved one. And here's the Munchlax that I traded with Billy. Sadly, it actually came back worse than what I gave him, but whatever. It's still a lucky shiny. It looks pretty nice. And here's also the Duskull that I got from Fleece. I traded him a shiny Sableye with the Litwick hat, but I gotta say, this Duskull looks way better than the other forms. I just don't know what it is, but I think this looks the best. Probably because the flowers are just so much bigger and much more noticeable. I just like it a lot. Got a couple more Corsolas, and here's the Pikachu with the purple balloons. And we went off on this event. Got quite a few shinies. Sadly, I didn't get this shiny unknown on my own. I actually traded for this one, but this was the last shiny unknown I needed for the event. A little after the Safari Zone, you can see I have quite a few shiny Shadow Machops and Mawiles and a couple more Sableyes around. And some of them I actually needed, but I didn't need Mawile at all, but the only reason I was doing them was because I wanted to get the 12-kilometer eggs, because at the time, Shiny Pawniard was released. Let me tell you, that thing really didn't like me, because I hatched probably over 150 eggs before I finally got them. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's keep going through these shinies real fast. But like I said, there's a few more shiny Shadow Mawiles. And I want to say this is when I was in Hawaii, because if we go a little bit further down, we have shiny Sceptiles and Swampbirds and a couple Blazikens. And these are obviously from the Mega Raid Day, which was really successful because we did manage to get a Shundo Swampert, which was the one I wanted the most. And the best part about this is because we got this from a Mega Raid, I had no idea what the CP was going to be, because when you beat a Mega Raid, it doesn't show you the correct CP when you defeat it up in the corner, so this was just a huge shock. And as we keep scrolling down, we're going to come to a really cool shiny here, this shiny Artillery, which obviously was a Remoraid when I caught it, but the cool thing about it is that it was my first ever shiny Remoraid, and I needed that to complete the shiny Living Dex for Johto. And after I caught it, I only needed one more, which luckily I got in a trade, so now that set's completely done. And after Artillery, we're back on the mainland, back in Florida. We had a little fighting event, which we had a lot of the Hitmons everywhere. I really liked that. I thought that was a cool touch. Then after that little fighting event, we have the Winter Holidays event, which we got pretty lucky with. Got quite a few cool things here, including some good trades. And then we start to enter the December Community Day, which I need to delete pretty much every single one of these. I don't believe any of them were really good for anything, but that's gonna be good for the future because I need to have space for future shinies, like when it comes down to the Hoenn Tour. But a little after Community Day, for some reason, Bergmite seemed to fall in love with me, which is great because we've completed the line now, and I think I have 5 shiny Bergmites. Managed to do a couple more lucky trades, and then I finally hatched my first ever shiny Pawniard, which this one has turned into a Bisharp, and I think the shiny looks great. And then a little bit after the Hisuian Avalog Raid Day, we got our second one, basically, I think on Christmas. This was hatched on Christmas, right? Yeah, the 25th. That's really cool, even though I do plan on lucky trading this with somebody in the future. And I've started getting lucky with these Eevees with the holiday hats. At the moment, I have 3 of them, but I need to have 9 of them to be fully done with them, and also, as you can see with the question mark down there, we might not get lucky with the evolutions either. But yeah, the Part 2 Winter Holiday event has been pretty decent to us all in all, but our very final shiny catch isn't even part of the event at all. It is a shiny Bidoof, which is really funny. This probably won't be the last shiny of 2022, and I think it's just beautiful that we're gonna wrap up on this. And that's all of the shinies that I currently have from 2022, but please let me know in the comments down below, what shinies are your biggest wins? Did you get any Shundos, maybe a shiny 0%, maybe even some shiny Shadows? I would love to know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers, and we're getting very close. And if you're really enjoying my content and you want to see even more, I highly suggest you check out this video right over here. But with that being said, I'll see you next year.